when you say this, Theophrastus, or Theophrastus.
Theophrastus.
Howdy, y'all. We are back here with Wonder Lady.
Hi. Hi.
And we're going over Seneca's on anger still, and I think we're making good progress. I think we've had good conversations so far, and yeah, thanks for hanging out with us and doing the philosophy.
And if you're not doing the philosophy, thanks for just being a supportive friend.
Yes.
But I have a feeling they're actually doing the philosophy.
Yeah. A lot of times people are doing the philosophy and they don't even know it. And they go, what do I do this for? That's philosophy. Shh.
Not always. But anyway.
It's ontology.
Okay.
Shut up, Snarky.
No, don't do that ever. Ever.
You're a sweetheart for tolerating me. And
right or wrong, I'd rather hear you.
Aww.
I mean, you could sit there and say, cats wear jetpacks, and I'd be like, no, but we're still friends.
Well, no, you could put a jetpack on a cat, but I don't think it would like it very much. It doesn't even like wearing the clothes.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling when the lights go out and I go to sleep, she's on the internet looking at Amazon things and putting them on her own wish list. Like, I like that mouse.
To be honest, I mean, if you've ever had a cat and you know about the 3 a.m. marathons and stuff that they run,
I call it a rodeo.
I think that they have built-in jetpacks. We just don't see them.
Yeah.
There's no way they can zoom that fast without them. So, anyway, into the philosophy. So, we're on part 11 now. And
Yay.
Last time we were talking about how moderate anger is still anger, or moderate passion is still just a moderate evil and stuff like that. And we kind of we disagreed with that in a way.
That's okay.
I think it's more... Personally, I think it's more of a gray area. Thank you, Gray Skeptic, for pointing that out.
Well, was it a disagreement or was it a search for more facets to the issue? Because that's usually, like, it can't just be that.
I think that it's kind of both. I think that if you have multiple facets, then yeah, you're going to end up in a gray area. You're going to end up in a situation where it's not either or, you know?
Right. Well,
so.
No, I'm thinking it's more gray area than an argument because, like, yeah. I don't know some things. Well, a lot of things.
Well, I think that it's conceivable to say that there are instances where this is not the case, where, you know, even like a moderate, quote-unquote, evil could be a necessity.
Right. It is.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to continue on with what Seneca thinks on this.
Okay.
And he says, but, argues he, against our enemies anger is necessary. In no case is it less necessary, since our attacks ought not be disorderly, but regulated and under control. What indeed is it except anger, so ruinous to itself, that overthrows barbarians, who have so much more bodily strength than we, and are so much more able to endure fatigue? Gladiators, too, protected themselves by skill, but expose themselves to wounds when they are angry. Moreover, of what use is anger when the same end can be arrived at by reason? Do you suppose that a hunter is angry with the beast he kills? Yet he meets them when they attack him, and follows them when they flee from him, all of which is managed by reason without anger. So when have many thousands of Cimbri and Tuatones, not sure I'm pronouncing that right, poured over the Alps, What was it that caused them to perish so completely that no messenger, only common rumor, carried the news of that great defeat to their homes, except that with them anger stood in the place of their courage? And anger, although sometimes it overthrows and breaks to pieces whatever it meets, yet is more often its own destruction. Who can be braver than the Germans, who charge more boldly, who have more love of arms, among which they are born and bred, for which alone they care, to the neglect of everything else? Who can be more hardened and to undergo every hardship, since a large part of them have no store of clothing for the body, no shelter from the continual rigor of the climate, yet Spaniards and Gauls, and even the unwarlike races of Asia and Syria, cut them down before the main legions come within sight, nothing but their own irascibility exposing them to death. So, yeah, he's kind of pointing out that anger can leave you open to wounds more than actually give you an armor against them.
Yeah. Although I think it's funny he's talking about physical wounds. I don't even think he's factoring in emotional wounds. You can do a lot of damage to yourself from anger. You know, the whole like, well, I got angry and now I have to live in a world of regret.
Yeah, I think he's kind of going over, because before he was talking about all the different aspects in which the Aristotelians would argue that anger is useful in war. So he's kind of going over that first, and then anger is useful for this and that and the other. So I think later on he's going to go into that.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, he is focusing on the war aspect and whether or not it drives people to defend themselves in a better manner than reason could offer.
Right. Well, I think Roman medicine is very interesting because a lot of it deals with urine.
Ugh.
And poo.
Yeah.
And
all the stuff that Suris debunks.
Yeah, basically it's like, oh, well, just drink a vial of, or rub a vial of, the urine of a small child on yourself, preferably male, and you'll be alright. Like, they have weird things. I'm sure they had some things that actually worked, but if you're going to be angry, a small cut back then could be life-threatening.
Definitely. Yeah. So, if he's basically saying if you're not being reasonable and you're not thinking things through, then you open yourself up to those little wounds that could potentially cause a lot more damage.
Yeah, it's true.
Continuing on, give but intelligence to those minds and disciplines to those bodies of theirs, which now are ignorant of vicious refinements, luxury, and wealth. To say nothing more, we should certainly be obliged to go back to the ancient Roman habits of life. By what did Fabius restore the shattered forces of the state, except by knowing how to delay and spin out time, which angry men know not how to do? The empire, which then was at its last gasp, would have perished if Fabius had been as daring as anger urged him to be. But he took thought about the condition of affairs, and after counting his force, no part of which could be lost without everything being lost with it, he laid aside thoughts of grief and revenge, turning his sole attention to what was profitable and to making the most of his opportunities. And he conquered his anger before he conquered Hannibal. So that's kind of what he's highlighting. He's highlighting how you could do a lot more to benefit yourself if you think things through and you wait and you are tactical as opposed to just brute anger.
Makes sense.
So is this pronounced Scipio? What does Scipio?
I don't know how to pronounce it correctly.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go with Scipio. What did Scipio do? Did he not leave behind Hannibal and the Carthaginian army, and all with whom he had the right to be angry, and to carry over the war into Africa with such deliberation that he made his enemies think him luxurious and lazy? What did the second Scipio do? Did he not remain a long, long time before Numantia, and bear with calmness the reproach to himself and to his country that Numantia took longer to conquer than Carthage? By blockading and investing his enemies, he brought them to such straits that they perished by their own swords. Anger, therefore, is not useful even in wars or battles, for it is prone to rashness, and while trying to bring others into danger, does not guard itself against danger. The most trustworthy virtue is that which long and carefully considers itself, controls itself, and slowly and deliberately brings itself to the front. So in a way, is there like a modern day example that we can think of that Seneca might use in order to further prove his idea?
Let's see. Well, we're never at war anymore, so...
No,
I think we've outgrown that.
Yeah, I would say that's a perfect example, and that was the one that I was thinking. We are on section 11 now.
Section 11! Woo!
Actually, we're on section 12.
Right.
Section
Right. It's fine.
So, section 12.
Uh-huh.
What then, asks our adversary, is a good man not to be angry if he sees his father murdered or his mother outraged? No, he will not be angry, but will avenge them or protect them. Why do you fear that filial piety will not prove a sufficient spur to him even without anger? You may as well say, what then? When a good man sees his father or his son being cut down, I suppose he will not weep or faint, as we see women do whenever any trifling rumor of danger reaches them.
Yes, I'm just a fainting little lily.
That's what I am too. I'm totally a fainting lily. The good man will do his duty without disturbance or fear, and he will perform the duty of a good man, as to do nothing unworthy of a man. My father will be murdered, then I will defend him. He has been slain, then I will avenge him, not because I am grieved, but because it's my duty. Good men are made angry by injuries done to their friends. When you say this, Theophrastus, you may seek to throw discredit upon many manly maxims. You leave the judge and appeal to the mob, because everyone is angry when such things befall his own friends. You suppose that men will decide that it is their duty to do what they do. For as a rule, every man considers a passion which he recognizes to be a righteous one. But he does the same thing if the hot water is not ready for his drink. If a glass be broken or a shoe splashed with mud, it is not filial piety, but weakness of mind that produces this anger. As children weep when they lose their parents, just as they do when they lose their toys. To feel anger on behalf of one's friends does not show a loving, but a weak mind. It is admirable and worthy conduct to stand forth as a defender of one's parents, children, friends, and countrymen at the call of duty itself, acting of one's own free will, forming a deliberate judgment, and looking forward to the future, not in an impulsive, frenzied fashion. So he's making a distinction. He's saying, yeah, you can act on this. You could be defensive and you can stand up for your loved ones and your country, but don't do it in accordance to just this crazy frenzied, this frenzied state of mind. Do it in a way that is deliberate, that is thought out, that is reasonable.
Right.
No passion is more eager for revenge than anger, and for that very reason, it is unapt to obtain it. Being over hasty and frantic, like almost all desires, it hinders itself in the attainment of its own object, and therefore has never been useful either in peace or war, for it makes peace like war, and when in arms forgets that Mars belongs to neither side, and falls into the power of the enemy, because it is not its own. So it's talking about Mars, it's talking about the gods. Course. Mars being the god of war for the Romans. In the next place, vices ought not be received into common use, because on some occasions they have affected somewhat. But so also fevers are good for certain kinds of ill health, but nevertheless it is better to be altogether free from them. It is a hateful mode of cure to owe one's health to disease. Similarly, although anger, like poison, or befalling headlong, or being shipwrecked, may have unexpectedly done good. Yet it ought not on the account to be classed as wholesome, for poisons have often proved good for the health. So he's kind of going back into what I was saying when we began this whole thing. Yeah, sometimes it might be useful, but overall, poisons aren't good for the health.
Only if you want to purge.
Yeah, like if you need to get your stomach pumped, that's a good thing. But I mean, usually that's like because of something poisonous.
Right.
I'm trying to think of an exception to this, and I really can't think of one.
What do you mean?
Well, he's basically saying that, if you act on impulse, you might accidentally be right, just like a stopped clock that's broken might be correct twice a day, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there is a good necessity in this, enough to proclaim it to be a good, virtuous thing. So,
not in anger. Might be for other subjects, but impulsive anger, you're not even investigating, you're not thinking, you're just doing a knee-jerk reaction. That's not good. Might be great for creativity.
right?
It might be great for love. Like, oh, I'm interested in that person. Hi, my name is so-and-so. Will you be my friend?
Right.
Like creating things. It's great to be impulsive.
Yeah.
Destroying things impulsively, especially if it's a life, that's not so reasonable because it's not responsible. It's not moral, and you're just inflicting yourself on people in a meow.
And exactly, Patsy. Patsy gets it.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
But yes,
in a meow. Yes.
It sounds like when it comes to this topic, you agree with Seneca that anger really has no use in terms of war and being a virtue when it comes to impulses.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is if you saw a couple fighting and it was getting violent, and say violence makes you violent, walking in, separating them. If you have to hit somebody to get them to calm down, do it. But basically, stop that until the authorities come. Mm-hmm. Like, you can shove people apart. That's a form of violence. You're acting in anger. Don't behave that way in public. I don't want to see your drama.
Right.
Like, I don't want people to hit each other, and I don't want to hit anyone. But I definitely don't have the size or the bulk in order to be threatening in any way, and maybe I would be putting myself in danger. Who knows?
Yeah, and that's kind of what Seneca was saying, is if you act on the impulse because of anger and you lash out in that way, if you were to separate people that are fighting, then you do open yourself up to injury.
However, if someone's doing that to an animal or a small child and it's not to adults, I say that anger is worth it. And I say be very loud and draw attention to it so that person can be, like, more easily restrained if they're going to harm you. Like, there are reasons to step in.
Yeah.
But not to lose your collective mind and, like, kill them or anything.
That's what I was going to ask. Well, sure, you should step in and you should intervene, but should you intervene from a place of control and reason, or should you intervene from a place of anger and impulse and mob justice?
If I'm going to intervene in someone else's life, even if it is controlled and reasonable, if it's a violent situation, I'm going to be stepping in anger. There's no other way. And kind of, like, righteously so, like, don't do that. Because I hate telling people not to do things.
Yeah.
I really do. I'd be more upset at the situation because what kind of idiot does that? And then getting me involved and don't do it in the first place, whether you're in public or not. And
Yeah, most people tend to avoid confrontation. Most people.
It's safer.
Yes, exactly. And I think that that's because we have this impulse control systems in place. So some people don't have that. Some people are just all impulse. And it's really hard for them to stop their drives to do certain things. But one thing I did want to ask about, because it was mentioned by Seneca in this section, what are your thoughts on mob justice?
Absolutely not.
Why?
It's great in a comic book, the vigilante thing, but I am a big fan of judge and jury.
Gotcha.
I think nobody has the authority to mess with that system. We need to vote. We need laws. We need standards. That goes beyond the community. I can't think of anything that's legal that people argue about. But you shouldn't like something, or you shouldn't chew your fingernails. It's not illegal to chew your own fingernails.
Damn it! How did you know I was chewing my fingernails?
No, but like if a whole bunch of people got on you and said, "No, you shouldn't do that," it's not illegal. It's not up to a neighborhood to say, "No, you're not allowed here because you're a redhead, or you're Hispanic, or you're gay married, or you're too old to be here." And I know there are caveats to everything. Like there are buildings and neighborhoods that say no children allowed.
Really?
Yeah. Because they're demographically preferring, say, elderly, and a children visit, that's fine, but they're not allowed to live with grandma.
Wow.
Yeah. There are communities that have like rules and liens, like no alcohol here. And you can attach that to a property forever.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it will in certain states. It depends on the real estate laws, but that's beside the point.
So I want to hear from, I guess the question that I have for the audience is, what are your thoughts on mob justice? Do you think that there are times when it is necessary, or do you think that it is immoral? Do you think that it is better to go by due process, or do you think that there are instances where due process fails? And what kind of systematic changes can we make in order to improve upon those things, if that be the case?
I can only think of one incident of vigilante that was taken that I actually unfortunately agree with.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who was that?
I don't remember the guy's name.
What was the circumstances? Do you remember that?
He was a rapist, arsonist, money extorting, violent. He was like his own. He was almost like a pirate, because laws didn't matter. He controlled the police. He controlled the mayor. Everyone was afraid of him. And he went too far. He was constantly going too far, but he finally broke through the fear. And one afternoon, in broad daylight, he was killed in public. When the FBI came to investigate, I was tying my shoe. Oh, I had the sun in my eyes. Nobody saw. Nobody knew.
Oh my God.
Nobody turned in the shooter.
Wow.
Like an entire town, broad daylight, near like the busiest center. Everyone who was there, nope, don't know anything. Nope, didn't see anything. Oh, I had my back turned. Oh, I had this. Oh, I had that. Wasn't present, or whatever excuse you can think of, as ridiculous as it is, they said it. And they've never solved that crime. Because, well, they had enough. They couldn't get justice. They couldn't get. I mean, this was like years. This is the man's entire life. He was controlling all these people violently, killing people, hurting people, raping people, going after their children. And finally, somebody did something. That's the only. I mean, I do not approve of murder.
Right. Well, it sounds like there was no other way if he had bribed all the police and all the other institutions that would have
Right.
processed him for justice. So,
but if anyone thinks that romantically dealing with their own problems, I don't generally trust the general public to identify a problem.
Yeah,
because
agreed.
If a mob mentality worked, there would be no song called Strange Fruit.
Agreed. Oh, that's such a good point. Very good point. So, one thing, I have a little bit of homework for people. And I don't expect me to grade you. I'm not going to grade you on this. This is for you. This is for your own life. This is for your own practice. And I've been doing this for a long time. It takes a lot of practice to do. Whenever the next time anger presents itself to you, take a moment to stop. See if you can calm down and prevent yourself from acting on that impulse, that frenzied impulse that tends to harm or damage or cause circumstances that are not good for you. Pause and don't act upon it. Just feel it, recognize it for what it is, and allow it to pass. See what happens. See if you're able to do it. And over time, also recognize how much good it does you. Because, like I said, I've been practicing this for a while, and though I'm not perfect, I still fly off the handle. I've gotten a lot better over the years. Because after a while, you open up new brain pathways, because your brain works in terms of patterns and pathways. So the more you tread down one pathway, the wider it gets, and it becomes a habit. Right. So let's try and see if we can promote some good habits, some good pathways that are more reasonable, that are less impulsive, and that can better our lives. That's what I would like to see. If anything comes out of this series, I want the recognition of that we have the ability to control our impulse, that at least to stop whenever we recognize it, and to gain control over our reaction to things that may anger us. That's what I would like to see highlighted in this entire series. So,
can I add a caveat?
Of course.
Okay. Also, feel free to act. In my opinion, this would be a healthy thing. If something is driving you to anger, maybe instead of acting or sort of participating in the process of the thing that's making you angry, move away from it.
Yes.
Remove yourself. Find a different, non-confrontational way. Not just process it, but do something about it.
Yeah, but
maybe end that friendship that's been toxic.
Yeah, or if it's something that has to do with the law, some injustice that you've witnessed, go to the police, write your senator, do something that would be productive instead of just being reactionary. Right. And one thing I would like to highlight about this is you have the ability to respond. You have responsibility, right?
I love that. Responsibility. I don't know why. That's just so cute.
It's catchy, right?
Right.
So, regardless of how you act, whether you act on impulse and frenzied anger or not, you're still responsible because that's your response. Let's try to respond in better ways because we do have, for the most part, control over that.
Right. We really, really do.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we end?
No, I just wanted to add that caveat because a lot of people that I've met think that, just controlling their own emotions and learning to deal with crappy situations is the adult thing to do. No, you teach people how to treat you. And if somebody is making you angry, you don't necessarily have to fight them to get them to behave in the way that you want.
Yeah, don't be a doormat. Don't be a doormat. You can't allow people to run you over.
you have a personal responsibility to yourself and others not to be a doormat. You can say you can behave that way if you want, but not with me. Yeah, I don't appreciate it. It makes me uncomfortable. I'm still your friend. However, I am not participating in this.
Right. I don't blame you. And I think that's good advice. Definitely good advice to...
Thank you.
I guess we could end on that, huh?
Yeah. Because I just think that's an important thing.
Very important.
Friends do make you angry. You can't love everything they do.
No.
It's just unreasonable.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Well, boundaries, y'all. And, responsibility and boundaries. That's
Yay! Two of my favorite things.
And pretty much the overall theme of this show, I believe, at least this episode. So thank you all for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to Wonder Lady. And, me, if you're here and you just now stumbling onto my channel, subscribe, hit the bell, please. Thank you.
Because there's more exciting things coming.
Yes. Y'all have a good day, and thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Similarly.
At the same time.